My name is Will Crist, and I was in the Marine Corps from 1965 until 1969 as a volunteer. The reason for that was 6 F's and a D from Pfeiffer College, and I could kind of see the handwriting on the wall. And I was actually joined the Marine Corps specifically because Richard Brown, who's with the Mount Holly Historical Society, his dad was in the Marine Corps, and he was one of my heroes. He was a great athlete, he was a great man, and he was a great Marine. And so when I went to join, I said, I want to be in the best, and he was the reason for that. And I know that probably bothered him over the years, but I was sure proud and still proud that I did. And in fact, I want to thank at this point the Mount Holly Historical Society for doing this, specifically Richard Brown, who has given me some questions here that I can use as a guideline, and the one that can actually get it done to where you can see it. I'd like to thank Gary Brinkley with the Historical Society also. But they do something for the veterans every year. And then the next question is, do you recall my first days in service? So that would be my first day at boot camp, I think, actually. And yes, I do remember it vividly. And what did it feel like to you? Not the best. I thought I was joining the best, but the first 3 or 4 or 5 weeks I was not real sure. But it just turned out it is the best. And boot camp training experiences, what got me through it, I think prayers of mine and prayers of my family and probably many others. And that just didn't hold true for boot camp, but for my whole time in the Marine Corps. I served in Vietnam, and I was in the I Corps area, which is about 100 miles south of the DMZ, that territory from the DMZ down south. It's about 100 miles. And then all of Vietnam east to west on that same dimension. And I was an interrogator, so I traveled all over the whole place, but my home base was in Da Nang. And I was there probably 1 out of every 5 or 6 weeks, and the rest of the time we were out on operations or doing things. When we were at our base, we interrogated prisoners that were in either the POW compound or the hospital. And I remember it says, do you remember what it was like when you arrived? We arrived from Okinawa in a C-130 aircraft, a 4-engine turboprop in Da Nang Air Base, and I was expecting it to start raining down rockets or mortars and small arms fire, and I step off the runway, onto the runway out of the back of the plane, and here's some guy in a white t-shirt just directing people, and people out here talking, just telling you what to do, just like it was being Charlotte, North Carolina or something. And I thought, well, this so far so good. Well, that changed occasionally, pretty abruptly from time to time, but yeah, it's kind of like, I believe it was Mario Andretti said about car racing, it was about 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror. So, but anyway, we all made it through, and unfortunately not all of us, but the fortunate ones did. And what it was like when I got home, they asked if I saw combat. Of course, I was there for about 14 months, and let's see, awarded any medals or citations? Yes. It's a lot of unit citations, good conduct ribbon, Vietnamese participation medals. I think I've got 2 rows of 3 and then another one. And on each of those ribbons, if you have multiple awards on those, you get a star. So I know for the Presidential Unit Citation for the 3rd Interrogation Translation Team, I've got either 4 or 5 stars on it. But those are the ones that come from the country, from the President. So those are very important to me. And I'm proud of those. And I'm not sure how I got them, that just happens. I don't know, some people got them, some people didn't. And how did you stay in touch with your family? Occasionally, I stayed in touch with them, not as often as I'm sure they would like, and they didn't stay in touch with me as much as I would like, but they probably were 4 times better than I was at doing it, because mail took about 2 to 3 weeks to get to me, and my mail took about 2 or 3 weeks to get to them. So you can imagine the dialogue was kind of sporadic. Where did I? Oh, did I see any entertainers? Yes, I was fortunate enough to be there 2 Christmases, which the first Christmas I got to see Bob Hope in Dong Ha, of town almost to the DMZ, and headquarters for the 3rd Marine Division, and that was a wonderful experience. And then the best experience was, as I was almost ready to leave a year later, I got to see Bob Hope in Da Nang, and they had wonderful entertainers, and he and those people that come over and share their lives with us and leave their families for the Christmas holidays are just true heroes. And in fact, they almost got shot down coming into Dong Ha, one of their planes, or 2 of them. Well, not planes, helicopters. But anyway, they are wonderful people and givers. Do I have any field grass? I've got a few, but a lot of them I left in a foot locker because I had such short notification as when I was leaving. I had to be back at the air base in 15 minutes or the plane was going to leave. So I had to get back, and I was not going to miss that plane, I can tell you. But I just wasn't thinking. I just didn't grab the stuff out of that foot locker. But anyway, and what did I think of my fellow Marines? Well, of course, they are all fantastic. And it's also asked about officers. And I don't think there are any better officers in the world than Marine Corps officers. Their training, their dedication, their response to emergencies, they just handle themselves beautifully, and they're trained to do that, and that's who they search for, as both Marines and Marine Corps officers. Did I keep a personal diary? Well, no. Did you recall the day the service ended? Yes, and I was married about 2 months after I got back into country. And where were we then? Claudia and I lived in Columbia. They give you a real cushy duty station, so you re-enlist and go back to Vietnam. But I didn't. Claudia didn't. Decided I would not re-enlist, so we stayed in Columbia my last year in the Marine Corps. And I was in charge of station control at the entrance station for the state of South Carolina. And that's what we did for the next year. After that, when I got out in March of '69, excuse me, we went to vacation around Florida. Claudia and I did. We didn't have children at that time for 4 years, and I finished college, and I went back. I was on the GI Bill. I think it was $278 a month. Doesn't sound like much, but our apartment was $75 a month. They raised that, the idiots, to $85 a month, and we weren't sure how we were going to make it. And then, but we didn't have any utilities, and they just paid for everything, so it worked out great. And Claudia had a wonderful job. She'd gone to King's College and got an office manager job in Columbia, so right there at the house almost. And my car payment, brand new Chevrolet, 1968 Chevy Biscayne, big engine and all the heavy duty stuff, was $77.33 a month for 3 years, no down payment. Couldn't sign for it because I wasn't 21 yet. And I went to Neely Chevrolet in Aubrey Joy, spent a day getting this thing worked up for me. We had to order it, and he says, let's go get your paperwork. And I couldn't get it. He said, Will, we got to get a co-signer. I said, well, that's okay, I'll run to Mom and Dad. And Dad wouldn't sign for me, and he wouldn't let Mama sign for me. So, man, I had wasted all of his time and wasn't going to have a car, and I needed a car to get to the base. I was in a tizzy. So the next morning, the phone rang, and it was Aubrey Joy. He said, let's go get your car. I'm going to make it through this. I said, well, what do you mean? He says, come on over, we'll get it figured out. So I went over, I said, sign for me. It was J.B. Thompson, another vet who you know very well. Great gentleman, one of my best friends' dad. But anyway, and I was never late on a payment. So anyway, after college and a little vacation of a week or so, went to work with WF Crist Company that my dad had started. He had offered me that job about a year so I could get my right courses going for working with the rep agency. And then I bought that from him about 16 years later. Joined Veterans Operations, the American Legion, the VFW, the Marine Corps League, Marine Corps Heritage Association, and the Marine Corps Museum, and some others as well. Let's see, what did you go on to do as a career? Okay, I explained that. Okay, it was family business. Military experience influenced your thinking about war, about military in general? Yes, I have a tremendous amount of pride in not only the Marine Corps and the military in the United States in general, but a tremendous pride, like I say, in the country. It's after seeing other areas of the country, Japan, Hong Kong, England, Scotland, I know that we live in the best country in the world, and I pray that we continue in that vein. And let's see, I do not have reunions because there are not many people left with the 3rd ITT. They were older than I was to begin with. Some of them got hit there, and I'm not sure what happened to them, and some did not make it home. So, and there were only 15 of us, so I'm not too sure what happened. I know a couple of them were at Lejeune for a year or two, but that's all I know. Did you experience, how did it affect my life? It left me again with pride for our country. And again, I'd like to thank the Historical Society for considering the veterans during Veterans Day. That means a lot, I know, not only to me, but to all veterans. Thank you.